Here's a long three by He's back!
What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the on-air Mobcast. I am TBG here in Indianapolis, and today I will reflect on Victor Oladipo's return to the Indiana Pacers and share how my betting weekend went on Super Bowl Sunday. After IBI, which is a breakdown of the recent games covering the Indiana Pacers, Butler Bulldogs, and IUPUI Jaguars, I will also give my take on the blockbuster trade tonight between two teams that met in the World Series a few years back. During the final segment of this episode, I will reveal my 5 All-Star snubs for the 2020 All-Star Game next weekend in Chicago, finishing with a MAMBA tribute.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's back. Gotta feel good for him.
But first, here is SportsMe CEO Jeff Rubin with a sponsored SportsMe ad.
SportsMe gives fans and athletes the power of voice, and for athletes who do have a voice, we amplify that voice. We connect them with fans in a way that's meaningful, that removes the negative nuances of social media for fans to actually talk with fans who do love them. You know, thousands of fans already found SportsMe to be a platform that they can create sports content, debate others, and have fun talking about sports. We turn that human element of fandom into a video game.
So I went out to the Bulls-Pacers game last Wednesday, and I was finally able to get a feel for Bankers Life Fieldhouse. My first Pacers game was New Year's Eve, and they smacked the 76ers. Now, the crowd was definitely hyped both games, but you actually felt the fans feel victorious and get amped up from the moment that Victor Oladipo took the floor and 18,000 people held gold and purple signs in the air. Now, those that haven't seen my YouTube video between Butler and Purdue during the Crossroads Classic, first things first, go to your YouTube app right now and subscribe to me at Thomas Butler-Guerrero. Go ahead, close the app. You'll still be able to hear my voice. Go on and beat it. But Oladipo had just made his announcement and was sitting courtside repping his Hoosiers when Armand Franklin, who's from NAP, game Notre Dame in front of both of our eyes. Don't believe me? Go and check it out. Now, the Pacers crowd erupted when Oladipo hit his game-tying three-pointer. I was literally at the game last year in the city when Vic gamed the Bulls at the United Center. LaVine had dropped 30 and damn near sent the game into double overtime. When Vic pulled up, I already knew it was going in. All Oladipo said after the game was Mamba mentality, man. Mamba mentality. Honestly, if you go look around the NBA right now and tell me that Kobe's spirit isn't alive on the court right now. These young stars in the NBA grew up watching LeBron and Kobe, having unimaginable careers coming straight out of high school. The best two that ever did it. Vic has averaged 8 points in his first 3 games back since injuring his quad that ended his 2019 year. I hope everybody had a great Super Bowl Sunday, but if I invite any of you to a Super Bowl party and you plan to interrupt a perfect Latina halftime performance, or after watching the game you ask me did the 76ers win, I will forever ban you from watching sports in my home during game time. I spent my Super Bowl Sunday with my homie Zach and like 6 Dutches, and if I'm being honest, that's the best item to have during those endless commercials, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, the Chiefs covered their -1.5 point spread. Again, for those that aren't aware of how the point system works in sports betting, just add or subtract the given number in a bet from your predicted final score and bet on who you think will win. What killed me was the over of 54 points because by halftime at 10-10, I was already doubtful. And what really ruined it, I will never get over this, is the pass to Tyreek Hill in the third quarter that was tipped to Devarius Moore in the red zone. That field goal would have at least pushed the 54 total, and anybody could have guessed the garbage time touchdown. I just can't believe that didn't hit. Anyway, Andy Reid gets his title. Patrick Mahomes is the MVP and is the best quarterback in the NFL. Don't doubt it. What he did in this playoff run was just stupid. Down 24 to the Texans and he erased it by halftime. Down 17-7 to Tennessee, and the touchdown before halftime forced Vrabel to doing exactly what Shanahan did in the Super Bowl. There's something about Steph Curry and Patrick Mahomes that completely changes how you defend them. Tell me that we weren't watching the same John Cena match football games. Other teams score first, get a big play on defense, and before you know it, no matter how well or how long you prepared for Mahomes, there will be a point in the second half when he has the football down within a possession and you are holding on for dear life for the remainder of the game. The Chiefs finished the season 5-0 when down double digits, and that's including the playoffs. Kansas City has scary athletes, and remember, Mahomes is only 24. This was his second year starting in the NFL, and the only quarterbacks left in the league with more rings is Ben Roethlisberger, who missed all of this season, and free agent Tom Brady. Cap off to Andy Reid for sure. He, Matthew, Watkins, and all of the crew, they deserve that Lombardi trophy for sure.
Indiana and Notre Dame. Where's the double? Where's the double? It came late. He spat it out to the corner. For the lead! Armand Franklin, the Indy native.
In the second overtime. Stefanovich for the tie. Yes!
Davis could not deny Baldwin. Kamar Baldwin, the senior, off the step back. He knocks it down. Punch, counter punch. And Butler wins.
The only ranked team in Indiana, Butler, is a 2-point favorite today when they host number 10 Villanova at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Both teams are coming off rough conference losses. The Wildcats beat the Bulldogs by 15 last month, but both teams are pretty banged up. Nova Jr. Jermaine Samuels is dealing with a foot sprain, and Aaron Thompson is still healing his wrist for the Bulldogs. Butler is 3-6 against the spread since Big East play began. The Jaguars host the Green Bay Phoenix at the Farmers Coliseum on Thursday morning during class hours. Not like attendance was finna be affected by that anyway, but one thing to note here is that the men defeated Green Bay in Wisconsin back in January, where guards Jalen Minnitt and Marcus Burke combined for 58 points. The Jags also have a rematch against Wisconsin-Milwaukee on Saturday when they only lost by 4 points in their last contest. The women, on the other hand, have won 10 straight games and are ahead in the Horizon League standings by 3 games with only 3 games remaining at the end of the month. Mid-major player of the week Macy Williams has dropped 20 points in 6 games this season. Come to both the Jungle and the Indiana Farmers Coliseum to watch the Jags finish the regular season before Horizon League tournament play begins. The men are hosting the Horizon League tournament in March at the Indiana Farmers Coliseum. Last night, 2 teams that met in the 2018 World Series completed a blockbuster 3-team trade. The Red Sox are sending former MVP Mookie Betts and starting pitcher David Price to LA. Now, trade rumors began when Betts declined the $30 million a year offer from Boston and expressed his interest in the $420 million for 12 years range. Betts is still going to be a free agent after the 2020 season, but the Dodgers will earn a compensatory pick if he were to sign elsewhere. The Dodgers just sent young outfielder Jock Peterson cross town to the Angels, so now the outfield for the Dodgers includes 2 MVPs in Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger, and a Gold Glove winner in A.J. Pollock. Now, my take on this is that the National League West made some huge moves this offseason with Bumgarner signing with Arizona, and if there was one team that I didn't want Betts to end up on, it was LA. If there was any way to break the 30-year curse in LA, having 2 MVPs in your outfield certainly makes them a powerhouse in the National League. All I'm hoping for as a Coast fan is that Casey Sadler ends up being a decent reliever for us. Moving on to the final segment of today's on-air Mobcast episode, I will reveal my 5 All-Star Game snubs for the 2020 All-Star Game next weekend in Chicago.
5.
Bradley Beal, the NBA's 6th leading scorer, averaging 28.5 points per game on the 15-win Wizards. This helpless team should have gave him away to LA last year. I thought they were going to end up sending Kuzma to DC to bring in Bill, but apparently the Wizards' asking price was rightfully too high. No way Lowry is any more of an all-star than Bradley Beal is just because he plays on the defending champion Raptors.
4.
Devin Booker, the NBA's 8th leading scorer at 27 points per game, said this is no longer the game he once loved after being snubbed. It's upsetting watching a star player's career dwindle because of the organization on his jersey. Booker has still not yet been to an All-Star game in his entire career since being drafted by the Suns in 2015.
3.
Zach LaVine, bruh, the All-Star game is at the United Center, and now the dunk contest will also be without the NBA's best dunker. LaVine agreed to participate in the 3-point contest next weekend after being snubbed, but the best dunker your eyes have ever seen is averaging 25 points per game this season and is the reason the Bulls are in the playoff hunt. His scoring average has increased to 29 per game in 2020. I don't understand how Zach LaVine is not an all-star.
2.
DeMar DeRozan averaging a career high in assists with the Spurs while shooting a career best 53% from the field wasn't enough to get DeRozan in the All-Star game? Are you kidding me? The Splash Brothers haven't played the whole season. The Western Conference is still loaded with guards that also still got snubbed, like Lou Williams or John Morant. DeRozan's not an All-Star with those guys not making it? Get out of here.
1.
Andre Drummond, how is the league leader with 15.5 rebounds per game, dropping 17 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, and nearly 2 blocks, missing out on the All-Star game, which he made it beforehand, not averaging those numbers? You know why? Because Bam Adebayo made the cut. Nothing against Bam, but Drummond has missed some time, like another big man snub, Karl Anthony Towns, but there is one similarity in all of these All-Star snubs. Their team's record is at the bottom of the NBA, but as Karl Anthony Towns said, the NBA's best 24 players are not playing in this year's All-Star game. I can guarantee that. One honorable mention from each conference seemed obvious to me. One player recently was injured after going on a 10-for-10 tear in the first half against the Bulls in a game where he dropped 54 points, only missing 4 shots throughout the whole game. NBA champion Kyrie Irving apparently missed too many games to participate in this year's All-Star game. In the Western Conference, a player whose team is not only at the top of their conference, but they are load managing prior to the All-Star game to prepare for the playoffs. Bettors beware of wagering on the Clippers, as All-Star snub Paul George and Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard have played in less than half of their games together this season. You're not going to convince me that Kyrie Irving and Paul George aren't all-stars. I believe they're both top 10 players and top 3 players at their position. I again have nothing else to say but the fact that I agree with Karl Anthony Towns that the best 24 players are not playing in this year's All-Star game. I'm going to finish off by saying that the NBA is actually doing an amazing service by adding a Kobe and Gigi tribute to the All-Star game. It has been exactly 10 days since the tragic morning that left us all in disarray, and I'll be honest to God that I definitely cried and sat outside in silence and just watched the tears fall to the surface after hearing the news of the 9 people who crashed in Calabasas, California, along with Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna. My faith was surely tested, as I was furious that God would allow something to happen this way. But all I could type out on WordPress was that young lives, I guess, are meant to be remembered young. Kobe spent nearly half of his life on an NBA court entertaining and inspiring millions of fans. I am still in awe how amazing the Lakers did with the tribute featuring Usher and Wiz Khalifa. The fact that there are still thousands of basketball and shoes that were left outside of Staples Center within a few days displays the legacy and impact that Kobe Bryant had on Los Angeles. LeBron James' All-Star roster will be honoring Gigi wearing the number 2, and Giannis's roster will be honoring Kobe wearing his iconic number 24 on their jersey. Should the NBA change the logo? Of course I think so. I will forever wish that I could have witnessed a Kobe Bryant Hall of Fame speech. Life on Earth truly isn't forever, but we all have the opportunity to gain eternal life. If there is one thing that I want to leave behind, it is that I want to leave an impact on somebody the way that the Black Mamba had on millions of not only children, but adults as well. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning into this episode of the On Air Mobcast. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and follow Mobcast On Air and official.tbg on social media.